Hey people! Dodgers, go Dodgers! In the playoffs again. Third year in a row. This time, gonna win the series, we hope. Dodger Dave coming to you from downtown PB. That means Pacific Beach in San Diego vernacular. If you've been spending your time at General Conference getting mind controlled deeper into the cult, I'm going to show you what you've been missing at the party downtown here. Some of the bands yesterday in P Beach Fest, kind of an Oktoberfest of Pacific Beach here. And I'm going to tell you about an encounter I had, a very nice visit I had with a husband and wife, Jehovah's Witness missionaries, what they call it, pioneering. These people do 70 hours a month. I didn't ask them if they're making a living or on church welfare or something. How do they do 70 hours a month of their service to the Watchtower Bible and Tract
Society
Association? Is that the name of the JW company?
Society.
And first, a super sacred secret recipe from Trader Joe's, where I'm coming to you from the Trader Joe's parking lot in PB. I will now reveal to you one of my greatest recipes. This is this is part of what I'll break into at the end here, as far as one of the live bands yesterday. All right, here we go. Trader Joe's. All right, it's been sitting a little while. I saved it for you. Hey, this is actually a blueberry. How big is that? Is it genetically modified? I often get organic, but I'm pretty tight for money right now. So, it all starts with a slightly unhealthy high gluten flour tortillas. Yes, I realize that that's a little out of my normal organic category. The Ezekiel sprouted ones, 7 grains, they're the healthiest. Compromising a little here. Then you take a banana. Yes, it's organic. I've got blueberries this time, and I got peanut butter. Wow! Trader Joe's peanut butter. And to sweeten it, instead of anything sugary, we got organic blue agave sweetener. All right, yeah, I had a little yogurt today. The other secret ingredient, Trader Joe's vanilla soy cream. Turns this thing into the most unbelievable ice cream, soy cream, banana, peanut butter, agave burrito ever. All right. Another Trader Joe's secret weapon here. Purple Moon Shiraz or Merlot. Got them both. They're only $3.99, and they're good. They're way better than like $3 Chuck, which used to be $2 Chuck, or even $4 Chuck, which is the organic Cabernet Sauvignon. Yeah, actually, their Pinot Noir is better. All right. Next. Oh, I didn't even say. God, I hope that stuff will be survived by the time I get back to it. We're going to make it kind of quick here. Make this a quick video. Downtown PV. This place explodes at night. Took a nice walk on a boardwalk this morning. Alrighty. Yeah, you know, I also wanted to pay some girl power tribute to some nice girls. Should always start with my mother, who is the person who put up with my challenges growing up the most and has always been there to try to help out whenever called upon. Next, I want to mention Dodger Girl bailed me out. I did go to try to make her birthday extra nice on Friday the 13th with a Friday the 13th Led Zepp tribute concert on 913 on the 9000 block and some change, and the 1300 block in Salt Lake, Sandy officially, in the 9th section in the 13th row. And then we never got there. But she bailed me out on my insurance because I kind of lost money on the trip big time. Got fired from Uber and Lyft. Just doing one other thing right now, so I'm going to have to monetize this. And then, with the other thing that I do, I started talking to this girl I delivered some Mick Ultra to, and Bud Light. Nice girl. Who was celebrating, a little early maybe, 15 years off heroin. We had a conversation. It involved my son, who got off heroin, then later was murdered after he formed a successful company. And I told her about the Led Zepp concert. She goes, "Man, you're my new buddy. I've got something for you." And look what she brought me. From 1979. Led Zepp in London. And then I'm like, wow. I go, "Thanks for letting me see that." She goes, "No, it's yours, man." And I'm like, wow. And that was on my birthday. My 20th birthday. Unfortunately, I was married to wife number 1 by then. And I was not in London and available. All right. Then she gave me a $30 tip. Biggest tip I've ever had for this kind of business. Had tip like, actually I got a $650 tip one time. Kind of should have been included, some of it in the price of what I did, but I just said donate whatever you want, so, for a surf tour. Yeah, down south in Costa Rica. To some very high-end people. Actually, a very famous person was involved. A guy that formed Zillow after he formed Expedia. His name was Rich Barton. Yeah. Got funded directly from his pal Bill Gates. Nice. Just a second, I have to indulge some Sabbath Day music. This is the Holy Sabbath, people! General Conference, and I'm sure glad I'm not there. Thank you, Ozzy. Okay, the Jehovah's Witnesses. I was walking on the boardwalk today, PV, and there they were. I stopped to look at the ocean again, just trying to work off a few calories, you know, get some fresh air, negative ions, all that good stuff. And there they were, and I see these people all the time with their little, they have this little stand, and they've got this JW literature and so forth, you know, some Awake magazine, some, we're your favorite cult mag, what is it called? Watchtower, the Watchtower, yeah. And so they're standing there politely, dressed nicely. Well, she was dressed nicely, he had a tie on, and I hate ties. We know that, right? That's why I've got my Lucifer shirt. You know what? It's hanging up somewhere else nicely. You know, from Lucifer in the Temple. At least it looks like that. The nice black collar without the white thing in the middle of the freaking Catholic church priest would have. So I said, you know what? These guys just look so nice. I'm going to go talk with them. And they really were nice people. Very nice and very entrenched in their belief, similar to Mormons with their just mind-controlled mindset. So try to make it friendly, you know, get them to open up a little bit. Asked them, hey, so you guys not getting a lot of attention here. They stand quietly and wait for people to come to them. They're not like, hey, come on over here and sign this petition or something, right? They're not like that. All of them seem to be kind of just quietly waiting for you to approach them. And you know, so I try to Used a little neuro-linguistic programming, actually. Used a little NLP technique there. And I'm kind of just like you. You know, I wasn't really thinking, let's use some NLP. But, you know, whenever you relate to people, when they say, hey, you're kind of like me, then you feel like, well, if you're like me, you must be good and trustworthy since I like myself, right? And so I said, you know, I used to kind of do this sort of a thing as a Mormon. I used to be Mormon. I phrased it that way. So used to knock on doors and teach people. I said, but I'll tell you what, I wasn't one of the full-time guys. I was a part-time guy, and I had like 10 hours a week I was supposed to do, which I did dutifully and faithfully perform. So that's like technically 43 hours a month. These guys, I said, you guys are doing practically double what I was doing. 70 hours, what do you call it, pioneering? Yeah, pioneering, okay, great. And I asked them, well, do you have to do this? Do you have to do a certain amount of this? Because I've seen some ex-J-dubs say something that I believed was telling me that certain levels of distinction of class, like degrees of JW-ness, you know, you have to pioneer a certain amount, like maybe 25 hours a month for level 1 and 50 hours for level 2, and you know, I don't know actually. So I didn't actually get them successfully to define that. They're more like, you can do whatever you want. We love what we do it because we choose to. I don't want to mock them. I'm just saying that's kind of what they were saying. And they were super nice people. What were their names? Carly and Austin. Yeah. So I talked with them, and then after, you know, I began to introduce some ideas to them. I said, so you guys take the Bible to be literal, like history, right? You believe in? And they're like, yeah. And I go, like, you believe in a 6-day creation period, and like this first mortal man on earth was like 6,000 years ago? And how about that Noah's flood business? And they go, oh yeah. So I started working on the Noah's flood. And I'm like, so are you at all familiar with like Egyptian history, so forth? Maybe the Sumerians or Babylonians or the American Indians, because none of these people were washed away in that flood. You know, that's a little problematic there. And they're like, well, we don't have exact dates on that. We've been studying biblical history and find that it just comes out exactly right. And I'm saying, well, they go, it wasn't the same time period. I go, what do you mean it wasn't the same time period? We've got definite recorded history, you know, from the Egyptians, from say 3000 BC to 1800 BC. That's what it's purported to be by archaeologists and anthropologists and, you know, Cal Poly San Luis Obispoologists. I mean, everybody and they've got it down past that. They've got it right down, you know, and that's like where the 18th dynasty was, around the 18th century, you know, before the current era or before the imaginary Christ. And I said, so 2344 BC falls about 500 years inside of both of those parameters. And there wasn't any flood washing these guys away. There may have been a flood somewhere in Mesopotamia or China that was, you know, big enough that it made it a ways, and that the legend got bigger, guys. But these people survived, and they were, you know, unfettered by this biblical tale. They continued their lives without interruption, without being washed away. And the American Indians, of course, you know, are still here. And, of course, they came across about 9,000 years before you guys say Adam existed. So they're like, well, you know, scientists, you know, we don't know. I'm like, well, you know what? I tell you what, I don't just trust scientists necessarily, but we've got historical records also from multiple civilizations that were not affected by this. We don't have any civilizations being wiped out by a giant flood at that time that I'm aware of, other than maybe there were some problems, you know, like I said, in the area of like China and maybe something in the Indus Valley or something. Not all over the world, people. So I introduced them to that and a few other things. You know, I talked about, you know, the invention of the Jesus myth with in the book, actually, which I've read, you know, portions, and listen to a talk for about an hour by the guy who wrote it, the book called, but I need to get the book, and it is called Caesar's Messiah, which really goes over the fact, which I also informed them of, that everywhere that supposedly Jesus went and taught, he's just following the same pattern to the same places in the same order as Titus Flavius fought his battles in subduing the Jewish rebellion. That was just, about 30 years previous to the first gospel being 40 years. First gospel, I believe, was Mark, like 72 AD, and so obviously, so it's about 20 years after, because I think it was about 50, 52 AD, about the time the non-gospel, the books of Paul came out, right? About 50 AD or something like that. So, kind of sketchy there, guys. Might want to check that one out. Of course, we got into the name of Jehovah being completely made up by a Catholic monk, and they're going, no, it's Yahweh. No, it doesn't mean Yahweh. It never came from Yahweh. I told them how it came from Adonai and Elohim, portions of those words, and being Latinized by, I should have mentioned the name of him, Raymond Martini in 1257 AD. And then a couple hundred years after that, the anglicized version, which was Yehovah, turned into Jehovah when the J and the V got invented. There wasn't even a J invented. How could you have Jehovah? How can you have Jehovah without a J? Come on, dudes. Anyway, it's a man-made name, 1257 AD. Not pre-mortal existence in Mormonism for Jehovah, go down and create a world, or be in the Book of Mormon as it is, or be in the Book of Abraham as it also is, totally anachronistically. So, because if Abraham actually lived and was there about 2000 BC, then why would some dude named Jehovah be talking to him when his name hadn't been invented for another 3,000 years? Anyway, I introduced him to a number of things and talked about the human sacrifice ordered by, Moses. And he said, God backed some wars back then, but he doesn't anymore. And I go, well, these were genocidal wars. In fact, it even involved wasting Moses' wife's people, the Midianites. That's where they were doing the human sacrifice with a few of the girls, while giving the rest of them to the soldiers to rape. And I'm like, you know what? I can't get on board with this guy. I'm not cool with him. I talked about his misogynistic behavior towards women, including making women who were suspected by their husbands, suspected, mind you, not proven guilty, of being fooling around when they were gone on a hunting spree or something, or at war. Who knows? Suspected, so they're taken to the priest, and he forces them to drink a smoothie made out of unholy holy water and dirt off of the floor of the tabernacle. These guys were herdsmen, so we got some goat turds in there, little sheep shit. And forcing the women to drink that because you're guilty until proven innocent. You'd be proven innocent by the curse being placed upon you by this witch doctor priest of Elohim, or of Yahweh, to have an abortion, to have the fetus cursed within you, fetus being referred to as your thigh. Yeah, so the Lord caused thy thigh to rot within thee, Anyway, so it's a mistranslation from what I understand. And for her to, basically be very sick and all this horrible stuff. So she doesn't get sick after drinking, a goat shit smoothie. I guess she was innocent. It's kind of like the Salem witch trials. Except for they didn't burn you with fire if you survived this. So it's only gotten worse with Christianity. So the girl says, you've given us a lot of subjects for us to further investigate. Because when we investigate, I love doing that, she said, we always find that the Bible is, vindicated, basically. We love studying history because it vindicates the Bible. And I said, really? Have you been using, secular sources, not non-church affiliated? Because I'm pretty sure that what I just told you about the whole thing with Egypt contradicts, you know, the truth claim of this global, let's just say worldwide, flood 2344 BC. Now, there probably were a few other things that we got into, and, you know, I had to kind of get a feel for if it got a little, she felt a little uncomfortable a couple times. He didn't do too badly, so made sure we got some warm fuzzies to end with. I left, and then I came back and said, hey, you know, one other thing. I hope I didn't offend you guys. Oh, no. And I said, you're way nicer than most people. Okay, all right, well, I got nothing against you guys. I said, heck, my own granddaughter is a missionary for the church right now. You know, that's unfortunate, but it's true. I said, she's supposed to be doing a lot of service like you claim you're going to do, but they have her, you know, in places where they're high traffic, because they're taking advantage of the fact that she's a very pretty girl. And I said, as a matter of fact, I mean, people feel less threatened when they've got a pretty girl instead of those boy missionaries. I said, I mean, face it, Austin, I never would have stopped to talk with you if it was just you. Just to be friendly, you know. She was a pretty girl, very pretty girl. They were both very, very nice people. Well, Austin was a handsome guy. I'm just not into guys, you know. So, it went well, and I said, I'll tell you what, if you want to get back to me on some of those studies you do, or just say hi, I got a YouTube channel called the Dodger Dave channel. Remember that Dodger Dave, like the LA Dodgers? And as far as I know, I think I may have the largest amount of video content as far as really studying what the Mormon Church is all about. I'm leaving John DeLune and Mormon stories out of that because they're a bunch of stories. And they're important stories. People say a lot of important things, a lot of doctrine gets brought up, but I've got an organized website with, you know, videos embedded in it, along with written material going truth claim by truth claim. Not that I've covered them all on the website, but the various pages have got some of the hundreds of videos I've done to explain how the truth claims of Mormonism match up with reality. And the reality is Jesus contradicts himself constantly in Mormonism. I talked about the changing doctrine of the Godhead. They explained how their Godhead works. In fact, I even brought up the fact that their church leaders, who they really try to make it sound like we don't really have any real leaders, predicted the end of the world multiple times and were wrong. And then they said, okay, catch this. This is before the second time when I went back and just gave them my, you know, said, hey, hit me up in my comments section. We can say hi. You know, we're friends, right? They said, we're a perfect organization run by imperfect people. And I said, you know, that's exactly what the Mormons say. The big question here, guys, is, did the Mormons steal it from the JWs, or did the JWs steal it from the Mormons, or did they both get it from some other organization? Also discussed about selecting the various books in the Bible. They said God the Father is the only God. Jesus isn't a God. And the Holy Ghost is a conduit of power whereby God, through people like Jesus, do things like create miracles. He's not a thing. He's not a dude. He's not an intelligence. He's not a spirit. He's just the Force. May the Force be with you. That's what they said the Holy Ghost was in. What do we call it? Jehovah Witnessism? Anyway, that's what he is in JWville, okay? And so I said, well, you know, you say, so is Jesus a God? No, he's not a God. Well, it says he's made equal to God in the Bible. In fact, it says, ye are gods. And he goes, it does? He goes, what does ye mean? He said that. He said, what does ye mean? I said, well, I think it's pretty much like a plural you there, I think, you know. We're talking about you guys, the rest of you folks, you know, will be, ye are gods. It says that. It says you're gods. It says you'll be made equal with Christ and God and all that stuff. But They don't seem to have that one the way it says it in the Bible, or as Mormons have it. So I discussed how Mormonism also changed from kind of a Trinitarian, modalistic, one or the other, at least in the Book of Mormon, right, where God the Father and Jesus Christ are one in the same person, just like it says in Ether chapter 3, verse 14. I'm Jesus Christ and I'm the Father, or something like that, right? Behold, I am Jesus Christ, I am the Father and the Son, right? And it's not the only place that concept is communicated in the Book of Mormon. Then, of course, fifth lecture, faith number 5. God the Father and Jesus are separate, but God's just a spirit. Holy Ghost equals Microsoft Cloud. Then, how we have got it now. God gains a resurrected body because he's got to catch up with his own new plan of salvation that Joseph Smith came out with in the King Follett discourse, saying God himself gained his salvation, worked it out on another earth somewhere in a galaxy far the heck away. Notice I said heck, but isn't that just a conjunction of hell and fuck? On the Sabbath day, David! And fuck, that's just fornication under consent of the king, isn't it? But it's naughty because it has something to do with sex. I'm going to leave you with some of the band action. The party, the wild party on the beach in PB, San Diego, yesterday, where you should have been instead of getting mind-washed by the brethren. Nice cold beer, huh? called Beach Fest.
I'm gonna do something a little bit different.
One big party.
Anybody else out there grew up in the 2000s? Where's all my I believe that calls for a drink. What do you think about that?
Later, guys. Subscribe, share, support, and party. Fight for the right to party.